very good morning from Mavrovo National Park here in North Macedonia. Last night I had a heck of a time trying to make it to my hotel here. I had a couple of road closures and had to turn back a couple of times. If you've seen the last video, then you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm glad to say that I did eventually make it here to the hotel. I am going today to show you around the national park in the local area that I'm in. It is absolutely amazing. I have a balcony that I'll show you in a second, along with an incredible sweeping view of the village. So I'll show you that in a second, but before I do, let me give you a quick room tour of the Hotel TUTTO here in the village of Janche. You can see here we have a fairly modern looking shower room. Even though the water did go cold halfway through a shower last night, that was just what I didn't need, but these things happen. Over here we have a kettle and bits and pieces for making coffees, along with a fridge, the whole room seems to be in the theme of a wooden ski lodge, I would say. There's a bookcase with a seating area there, using it as a packing bench at the moment. Up there we have a wall-mounted television, air conditioning unit, didn't need that last night, and we also have a radiator under there as well, didn't need that either. The temperature is kind of about 12 degrees up here at the moment, this time of year. And then as I come round, you can start to see this view I'm going to show you a bit more of in a second. But last night, I could not for the life of me figure out how to close this door. So I kind of slept with it mostly open. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to open it now. So I might just have to put the video down a second and see if I can get that door open to show you outside. There we go, I think I've got it. And here is what I can see from my balcony in the morning. Lush green forests of the mountainside and the village itself. The cost of this room, £31, including breakfast. Breakfast this morning consisted of an omelette and coffee, along with a selection of cheeses, local jams and sauces, as well as a basket of bread. As said a second ago, this is a bit like staying in a ski lodge, and downstairs in the breakfast and dining area was no exception. There was just loads of wonderful ornaments and decorated walls. There was a little shop selling wine and jam and other locally made and locally carved items. It was one of those places you could probably spend about an hour just looking around at all the things inside the room. As for the village I'm overlooking, it's one of those places, you can see the seats on the balcony behind me there. I could quite happily just sit there for hours on end just watching what is going on down in the valley. There's a wooden shed-like building with a steel corrugated roof I can see on the other side of the ravine. There's also some what look like traditional stone-walled buildings with the wooden window frames. At the top of the village is a really large white mosque with a double minaret, and I can see 3 domes, one large one and 2 small in front of that. This is the cat right here trying to get into my room. I've had to close the door. It got in there once and it took me about 10 minutes to get it out. Just before I check out, there's one more thing I want to tell you, and that is that behind me you can see some pretty tall mountains. Well, just over the ridge there is another village called Galichnik. But that village and this one are not connected by roads, so the only way you can drive there is if you take the long route around the valley, around the mountains. It takes 2 hours to drive to that village, which is only 4 miles away. The other option, which is popular with hikers, is you can hike across the mountaintop, but perhaps I'll save that for if I ever come back to this area. Right now, I'm going to pack up my belongings, get checked out, and there is some unfinished business that I need to take care of. Excuse me, Mr. Kitten, I'm trying to film a video here. Can you keep the noise down? yesterday's video, I had to turn back because a road I was trying to follow to get to the national park was just too muddy and I wasn't able to pass through it. Well, this is the other end of that road, and you can see that the road here is paved and in really good shape. Same with the other end, so it was the middle section that was really muddy and swampy that I couldn't pass through. But I'm glad that I backtracked a little bit this morning. This is where I was going to end the video yesterday because I wanted to see a 18th century Ottoman era bridge. It's very, very rare to see these here in Macedonia, and you can see it just behind me now. So let's go and have a look at it. You can see there are some warning signs up here, I think saying don't pass through onto the bridge, but it is too good an opportunity to pass up. So let's go underneath there. And you can see from the bridge construction here, no steel, no iron, just stones. And it is quite a hump on the humpback bridge. Down there is the Mala Reka, the small river, translates to English, that flows down into the valley where there is a larger river. I'm sure we'll see that quite a bit later on. And if we head over to the other side here, there are lots of forest communities and small mountain towns in the mountains that surround me. And if we pass under here, you can see there is a sign. I was telling you this morning about the little village of Galichnik, where you can hike it from here as well. What a fascinating hike that would be. It will be up in that direction. Just heading a little down one of those trails, just to see if I can get a view of the bridge from the bottom here, river level, looking up to it. There are some openings, but I think the trees are so overgrown that it's not possible to see it, but we'll give it a go. What can we see here? No, that would be a great view if those trees weren't there. But let's head back over. The bridge is called the Ilanski Most, which means deer bridge in English, and it was designed by the same person that designed the bridge in Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and that's a very famous bridge as well. It is really, really steep, but still in great shape after all these years. And down there once again you can see the rapids almost flowing through the valley. Right now I am at the Bigorski Monastery, which is just over on my left side. Behind the camera is a hotel that I nearly stayed at last night, but I didn't. I stayed just up the road in another village, and the backdrop behind me at the moment is totally stunning. I can see 3 small villages perched on the mountainside. I can see churches, monasteries, mosques, and the clouds crawling very slowly across the top of the mountains. In fact, I can't actually see the mountains in some sections because of the cloud floating across the trees. The area is rich in forest and wildlife, and there is a stunning gorge that I'm hoping to go driving through in this video. We're going to end up at Mavrovo Lake, but before we do that I'm going to have some lunch, and if you're interested, this is lunch today. You can see my rental car here just behind me. There we go, it is all ready for me. A buffet, if you will. I've got some burger buns, I've got a fruitsli bar, a banana, and some crisps. Before we have a look in the main church, I wanted to tell you that it costs €2 to get into the monastery, and it is a monastery that is just over 1,000 years old. It was originally built in 1020 by a Bulgarian
clergyman called John of Debar, and this was close to the end of the Bulgarian Empire. The monastery was mostly destroyed under the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century, but in the 18th century it was rebuilt by a monk and then renovated, expanded and restored in the 19th century. Sadly, in 2009 it suffered a fire and some of the complex was destroyed, but it has once again since been rebuilt and restored. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to video inside the church, so I didn't. But I've got to tell you, it is the most spectacular church I think I've ever been in. It is, I would say, worth a day trip from Skopje, even though it might be 2 to 3 hours drive to get here. There are gold and silver chandeliers hanging from a vibrant painted dome. There are paintings and books dating back hundreds of years. The iconostasis is perhaps the most elaborate I've ever seen. The carvings are just so detailed. It must have taken an entire lifetime to carve it. The monk inside was telling me that the carvings actually tell the story of the Bible, starting with the Old Testament and then moving to the New. By the way, the paintings that I've overlaid this section of the video with were taken on the outside of the church walls, where you are allowed to photograph and video. It is time to leave. Sadly, I've really enjoyed having a look around, but I'm gonna get back on the road now. Quiet corner of the park, I've stumbled upon some kind of memorial or statue, and we're going to take a look at this and try and work out what's going on here. It looks pretty smashed up and decayed. I am guessing that this may be left over from the Yugoslav era here in the area. All of these tiles are broken, there's not much maintenance going on. And then right here in front of me we have a soldier, perhaps with his gun there on the right side, and actually on his cap it looks very much like, I'm not sure if you can make that out on the video, the Star of Communism. There we go. Yugoslavia was a communist, or some say socialist, state. And as we come around here, again, it's not in great shape. It's almost been forgotten about. And there is a gravestone here, or part of the memorial, names down the left in the Cyrillic alphabet, and then the dates over here on the right, and they're not in order. 1923, 1919, 1878, 1856, 1929. And let's just take a look at the rest of the memorial up there. It's pretty incredible actually, seeing something like this. Let's try and work it out. There's a guy on a horse over there in the corner, and it looks like a load of dogs, maybe even a soldier dying in somebody's arms, children there, someone with their gun, and again someone else riding off with a horse into the distance perhaps. There's slabs missing in the middle there, so not in great shape, but very, very interesting to see.
Right, loads more coming from Mavrovo National Park in North Macedonia. See you in the next video.